Hello, legends and super legends. I'm picking up Paul. He's right over there waiting on me, so we can head out. On this ride, we rode in the area. We started out in Northampton, cut through the woodlands. We went a different direction once we got to the woodlands on Flint Ridge. We went through an area called Sterling Ridge and headed out to Ridge Lake Shores on 2978 there. Got to Ridge Lake Shore, did a loop, and then cut through Honea. We took Honea Egypt Road back. It was a very hot day. We bypassed Sterling Ridge here in the woodlands and ended up on the way back using the bike path. This time we filmed the bike path. It's not really a path for high-speed riding in my opinion. It's very technical and it's kind of crowded sometimes. So all in all, it's a very good ride. We kept the speeds up. We're ready to roll, legends.
Yeah. Good morning.
So we're heading out. We're gonna roll into our warm-up. We're gonna get some clips for you all. So we're rolling out. We're gonna do Ridge Lake Shores today. A shout out to one of our returning patrons, Jose Santiago. Make sure everything GPS is picking up, getting everything northeast set. Area in the U.S. So we're rolling right from the neighborhood, and we're gonna head out. Thanks, Jose, for supporting the channel. Once we get out there, take you guys so you can ride with us. Turn left here. So it was a hot day, so we didn't play around. We kept the speeds up most of the time. We did a B-roll where we filmed our stop. I think you'll find it interesting. It's one of our favorite stops. But overall, quick ride, close to the area. In our pink today, Rafa pink. It's hot. Yeah, when Paul showed up, setting in, so we were wearing the lightest stuff we had. Paul rode up and he had pink, so I decided I would wear my pink too. It's probably so. It's 75, so it's about 24C. 24C already to start our flyweight. That's what happens this time of year. Flyweight jerseys. I tend to run hotter than Paul, so my jersey got nice and wet and sweaty. There was a guy, I think, in, was it New Zealand?
Yeah.
He said something about it's 8C there, so they're still in winter in New Zealand. He said he was jealous. You know, but not because I prefer the colder weather because you can always wear more.
Exactly.
But when it gets real humid here, shoot, you got to go out early in the morning. We survive by going out early in the morning. Right.
Exactly.
You don't do that, man. By 1 o'clock, it starts baking.
Yeah.
Then your body just, you take all your energy just to stay cool. So. All right, legends, we're outside of the Honea Egypt area. We're heading towards Ridge Lake Shores. So we're gonna grab some clips for you all. I think you should put your patch kit in the middle, my brother. Yeah. Especially on these thin jerseys, balance is better. Yeah, I started carrying my patch kit in the middle once I switched to these summer jerseys. Left turn. The fabric is very thin and light. You will feel the difference. And so when you put it on the side, it tends to slide around towards your ribs. So I suggested that Paul move. You could even put the pump next to it. And the pump tends to fall to the side instead of standing straight up. Yeah, put it next to it, in the middle. There's nothing else in the pocket. Free that pocket up. So I keep the pump standing up next to the kit. As soon as I tried it, I like it because the weight is more balanced. And you can see Paul's jersey on the right. Look at mine here. Look at mine. On the right, I found out later and I let him know. We put our phones in the security pocket, which is a zipper compartment. Well, if you don't put your phone vertically, it stretches the jersey over the right side of your rib cage because the fabric is very thin. So I keep my phone vertical and Paul had his horizontal. So later in the ride, you can see where I noticed that, and I let him know, you might want to, you can twist it around without opening the pocket. But it's all how you place the content, especially bulky items, that makes a difference. There's a car coming, so I moved to the shoulder here. Then I waved him, but then he changed lanes, which was cool. The guy in the truck. He had enough room. I didn't want to stand on that corner. So we have 2 lanes here. What I usually do is I stay, you see I'm on the shoulder here. Paul is on my left. So we're using the first almost half of the lane. Unless I'm riding solo, I just go ahead and stay where I am so my partner or partners in the group can use more of the lane, and that way we're not close to the white line on the left. That's the reason I'm where I am. You know, when I'm riding solo, if that shoulder is safe, I'll decide whether I'm going to use the shoulder or stay on the road. Now, as speeds increase, I use the lane, because part of the shoulder you will see gets very narrow. You have to make the judgment call whether it's safe. But make up your mind, either you're going to use the lane or stay on the shoulder. Because if you're on the shoulder, they're going to try to pass in this lane, which is fine if the shoulder is safe and wide. This is kind of narrow, and then every now and then we get debris. So it's really always a judgment call. That's why you always got to be thinking when you're riding, because the conditions change. So like if I were solo, that's where I would be. I'm there, but Paul is on my left.
Yeah.
So the drivers can see that we're using the lane, but we're not using the whole lane. Some of them will pass in this lane, but they will still move over the white line a little bit. You know, so as a solo rider, it's okay to ride where I'm riding, because right now this shoulder is nice. It's a good size. It's about 2.5, 3 feet. That's wide enough, especially for one rider. So I place myself there so Paul can use the lane. So he's on my left. That gives him more shot. You can see now the shoulder's getting narrower here. And that's a judgment call. At this point, you see I'm on the left of the white line. If I were riding solo, I would be more to where the right tire of the cars ride. So it's clear I'm using the lane. But where I am allows Paul to ride next to that middle dirt area. So he's right next. You can see that pickup truck had to move over the path. That's what you want. So we're using half of the lane right now, which is what you want. So if your group is like 3 or 4, 5 or 6, even more so, the first guy can stay as far to the right as practical and let everybody else use more of the lane. There's nothing wrong with using the entire lane, but only do so if you need to. And I don't like to be by the white line. This gives me enough room away from the faster traffic. So at this point, I stay in the lane because the shoulder is just very narrow and it changes, you know. You could probably still ride there because we've done that before, but there is no reason to. The traffic is very light and there are 2 lanes. So you have a right to make that judgment call and ride where it's safe. You can see our speeds are up. The cadence is up. And on this part of the ride, I just felt hot. It's a very warm, muggy day. It says 25°C, it feels like maybe 28.
Oh, yeah?
We have a slight tailwind here. It is swirling around a bit. I think it's blowing from the southwest. So we have wind from the left and then some of it behind us. Not much. And that's why you don't hear too much wind noise. Just what we're generating at these speeds. Wearing a Rafa flyweight jersey, which felt pretty good, but even with that, I had to unzip the jersey at certain parts of the ride because this was one of the more humid days we've had all season, and it just took some getting used to. I didn't feel like myself until after our break. I ended up mentioning that to Paul. At this part in the ride, I just felt hot. So I made sure I kept drinking. As I've mentioned earlier, I'm using my insulated bottles. At this point, I'm spinning really fast, and right where the bridge starts, I end up I don't like to go over obstacles when I'm spinning really fast. It doesn't feel stable. Right there, I go over the crack, and then I resume spinning. When the roads are uneven or they're rough, it's better to use a heavier gear and lower your cadence. It gives you more stability. It's easier to spin on a smooth surface, or spin a high cadence, I should say. I decided to keep my cadence high and maintain whatever speed the conditions give us here. We're right at the bottom of zone 3 here. You hear the wind. I left off the music so you guys would share what we experienced. Because that was what we experienced. We couldn't really talk. I'm letting Paul know about those construction signs. Some of them stick out on the shoulder. So there's one lane here, so it's becoming 2, so I check for traffic and let Paul know we're taking this lane. I was hoping the light would change before we got there. You can see I'm soft pedaling here, but it didn't pan out that way. Had good momentum. I'm in like a 53.19 or something like that, which is a good gear to start off with. It's important that you get in the right gear when the light changes. You can see how easily I get through the light. Then I shift up, and I check to make sure Paul is there. Thinking a little bit I look behind. Yeah, right there. Once I see Paul, then I resume the effort. I ask him to come to the front here. I move my arm out of the way because we passed each other very close. We're using this half of the lane. So he takes over. We're doing this because what's happening is you want to make sure periodically you get in the wind. I'm filming Paul's gearing here. Paul has a 50, he has a 53 on this bike. His other bikes he's got a 50, I think. You want to make sure you get to the front from time to time in a group ride so you can taste the effort, taste the wind. So you can build your endurance that way. There's nothing wrong with drafting, but you don't want to do that 100% of the time. So throughout our rides, we alternate. And as you continue to do that, you will get stronger, you will improve. You can hear the wind. At this point in the ride, it still felt hot to me. I told Paul about it. I run hotter than he does. My jersey's wet. Throughout the ride, right here I'm filming his gear, and throughout the ride you will probably notice that the color of my jersey appeared to be different, more orangey than pink. That's because when it got wet, it looked different, because I was sweating. So the more I was sweating, the more I was drinking. I got through my bottles fairly quickly. By the 2.5 hour mark, I think, I had drunk the 2 bottles of, so I drank about 1,000 milliliters of water. I always drink before the ride starts anyway, and when I'm off the bike, I always hydrate. I always have to get up at night to use the restroom because I drink so much during the day. This time of year is even more important to stay hydrated. But that's just something I do year round. In the winter, we end up stopping more. In the summer, we don't need to as much. But you still need to drink to keep your performance the same. If you're low on fluids, it affects your performance. It's 8:50 in the morning and it's 26 seat. And I believe that's in the low 80s. and the humidity was up there. Paul's taking us on the way to Ridge Lake Shores here, and even though this is close to a big town, I mean this is a little north of the Woodlands and south of an area called Conroe, the roads are relatively clear. Hit the light here, I think I hand Paul the camera. Then I hand him this camera here, right here. Hand the camera. So if I were riding solo on this part of the road, I would be using the shoulder because it's clean and it's perfect for one rider. Since it's the two of us, we might as well just use the road. It's not super busy or anything. And the reason I mention that is,
Yeah.
I made a joke there. I told Paul, I said they're acting like the left lane doesn't work. Because you're getting 2 or 3 cars maybe every minute or so passing. And the left lane is wide open. I don't know why they want to pass us in our lane. There is no reason to. You know. Now what I was talking about using the shoulder is that whenever possible, if the shoulder is clear, I don't like to compete for so much road space. Now, on a road like this, it's not necessary to use the shoulder because there are 2 lanes, the traffic volume's light. You can ride where I'm riding. Because I've got my Victoria Evo on this bike, and I like to find the smoothest pavement to use. Granted, the shoulder here is smooth, but I'm mentioning that so that you know you have that option. There is no reason for you to block traffic if you can ride on the shoulder safely, especially if there's a high volume of traffic. As light as it is here, you can ride where I'm riding. There's nothing wrong with that, you know. But whenever possible, if it gets a little congested and you can use the shoulder, you can go ahead and do so. But make sure when you decide to go back into the main lane, you check and make sure it's safe and before you make your move. Don't start on and off of the main lane. But generally, where I'm riding is where you want to be. There's nothing wrong with being there. If there were just 2 lanes in 1 lane in either direction, I would probably use the shoulder on a road like that if it were there. But if not, and the shoulder's not safe or clear, you ride a little to the left of where I am, which is where Paul is, so that they can pass in the other lane. You can see behind us, there's nothing. That's why I made the joke. They act like something's wrong with the left lane. So when I come out here solo, that's where I ride, where you see me. I don't ride on the edge there because this road, since they did the construction, they've opened up 2 lanes all the way, maybe 4 kilometers further up the road before it narrows. So there's no reason to not use it. So at this point, we're approaching Ridge Lake Shores. It's a nice neighborhood. It's has a lot of large lots, a lot of deer and other animals in that. I love coming out here. This is a climb as we approach the entrance. A few months back they had gravel here, they were constructing this stuff. So they're done.
Huh?
Coming out here now.
Yeah.
The Paul is nicer coming out because the construction's over. I'm hot at this moment in the ride. I'm unzipping my jersey. Just the breeze. We turn right and that breeze is just picking up. We're going slightly downhill. You can see my jersey. Now you look at the color of my jersey. It looks almost like coral as opposed to pink because it's wet. I'm perspiring like crazy. And I just feel hot. So I just took another drink.
Yep.
I asked Paul if he was okay. It's one of the warmest days we've had in a while as far as what it feels like. You look at Paul's arm, you see the perspiration on it. I got my jersey unzipped and that wind is going through. I mean, it feels good. It just goes right through. That feels good right there, so I'm letting him know. We're enjoying the nice downhill. And one thing about these jerseys, if you unzip it all the way down, and when it's low like that, as the wind blows it, the zipper continues to slide down and it can basically open on its own. And you'll see that happen later in the ride. I'm going to make a video. I don't know which one's going to come first. Well, I mentioned another video about training and not just riding. Every time we ride, I focus on making sure I'm engaging all cycles of the pedal circle. That's very important because pedaling is not a natural thing, and definitely pedaling faster than 60 RPM is not a natural thing. So Paul makes a comment about Stone Oak. This when we turn, we hit this climb.
Oh, Stone Oak.
And I downshifted immediately. So as we're riding the climb, there's a deer just standing here looking at us. He doesn't even move. Right there. I mean, I had to come up on him before I noticed he was there. Like a statue, I pointed to him. Paul laughed. He's just standing there. The climb is long, so the reason I downshifted was to find a rhythm, and if I needed to go harder, I could shift up. It's a lot easier to do it that way than to start a climb over gear. Always keep that in mind. This is a four-way stop sign. It's clear. We roll through. We're on a climb. I'm not stopping unless I have to. There's nobody there. That's why we come through here. It's quiet. There are miles of roads in this subdivision. You could ride. You could do countless loops in here. We find the most challenging loop to do when we come up here. That's what we're doing when we're here. This is the steepest pitch. It's dropping off here. So even though we go to different cities and different places, you don't have to go far away to get a workout. If you have a loop in your area, do that. Work with what you have. We explore when we have the time. When we don't, that's the reason we live where we live. We can ride out the door and get a good workout. Yeah, we got to deal with more cars and more intersections, but you can still get a workout. You don't have to go to far away exotic places, but people, from even comments on the channel, people want to mix it up. People get tired of doing the same thing. That makes sense. At this point, my cleats are acting like they're moving around on me. I had just messed with them, and the left one seemed loose. So I'm taking out my tool. I always carry a multi-tool in my kit, and we stop here, and I tell Paul I need to just check to make sure they're tight. I don't want them to come loose and lose the hardware. And all of a sudden, look at all the deer here. They're just standing there looking at us.
Just staring.
I'm like, there's a bunch of them. Now they start moving.
Oh, look at a hole in there.
I guess us stopping there made them uneasy, and so Paul's filming them while I'm tightening my cleats.
Wow.
There's more coming.
2 more, 3, 4, 5.
I mean, it's just running around. And the deer just hang out here. There's some in the woodlands, but because it's more congested, we don't see them as much.
good thing about it, we're stationary.
They're changing where they were. They didn't like the fact that we stopped there, you know. And in a little while, I mentioned to Paul that when I lived in Austin,
Just staring, like, what are they doing?
in Austin, when the deer population would increase, it would allow people to hunt them. But the problem was, this was deer that were used to people. So imagine that. They would not run or anything. People would just shoot them. And that was just, I didn't care for that.
This particular deer was used to people.
That's what I'm telling Paul. The deer was used to people, and the population would grow. These so-called hunters would come and shoot deer that would walk up to you. I mean, really? Come on. So I checked for traffic at the stop sign. It's a four-way stop sign. Nothing's there. We roll through.
Yeah.
This place is less than 40 kilometers from where we live. 37 and a half kilometers, the route we took. We took a more direct route.
Go back in. Those were awesome, man. We got them just on this.
It's not even an hour 45. We're already here.
That's what I'm telling Paul, is that this area is really not very far from where we live. If we take the direct route, and with the new improvement in the highway we just rode, it's very, very nice getting out here.
Yeah, very close. Very close. Look at that little guy.
Less than 25 miles, 40 kilometers. That's a rabbit that was standing in the grass that he's pointing to. I didn't freeze the frame because you wouldn't even be able to see him. He blended in to the surroundings. He looked like a stump, a piece of log on the grass. It's amazing, this dynamic camouflage.
Stop doing the window that day.
Yeah.
There's another one. Look at it.
Yeah.
There's another deer just standing here by this mailbox on the right. He's just looking at us. Doesn't move. Looks like a statue. And he moves his head when he turns. There was another one across the street here behind the tree right there on the left. It's hard to see. He's hiding. The camera really didn't do him justice, so I didn't freeze the frame because there's not much to see. But they're just all over the place.
These guys, man.
When I lived in Austin, we had to get special plants for the yard that the deer didn't like, otherwise they would eat your landscape.
Yeah.
So if you put plants that they like.
Going to open mine a little bit, just to get air.
I had the jersey unzipped when we got into the subdivision, and once the wind hit it here, the zipper worked its way loose. I just left it like that because it felt really good to have that wind on my body, wicking the perspiration even more so. If you look at the jersey, the middle of the back is a different color than the sides. The middle of the back is dry, it has like a look like a V. That's dry. All the other areas are damp with perspiration. That's why I wear this flyweight jersey this time of year. The perspiration doesn't last. It wicks, and when it's humid, you need a light jersey. So that actually felt good. I didn't care that the jersey was flapping in the wind. So the V that you see in the middle of my back there is the part that has dried. And the rest of it is gonna wick and get dried as well. The pockets are dry, that's why you see the pockets look lighter. So that's why when you put your phone in your pocket, you want to make sure you have them in a bag to keep the perspiration off your phone. Because these jerseys do work. Ordinarily, if I weren't wearing a high wicking jersey, the entire jersey would stay wet. And that keeps you hotter. The actual wicking of the moisture helps your body temperature stay low. So at this point, we're rolling towards one of the more interesting climbs in this subdivision when we come through here. So as we approach this climb, you can see my cadence go down a little bit. I have not downshifted or anything. You see it's in the 70s. It was about 20 RPMs faster. As long as it's not below 70, I don't worry too much about it. Because I can tell just by feel when the gear feels like I'm not on top of it. And there's the climb up ahead, and it goes to the right. It's a very beautiful road here. So when we're pressed for time, we can do 3.5 hours. Just head out here and head back. It's quick and it's a good workout. As we approach this climb, you can see it. So basically, I've downshifted a couple of cogs. I'm still on the big chain ring. I'm probably in a 53, 23 or something like that. And all I do is I keep my cadence in the 80s. I will do a video about the kind of cadences that are better for climbing as opposed to trying to overreach your natural cadence based on your state of training that you're in. Just because of gravity and other things, you ride hills differently than flats. You've probably already experienced that, but I'll try to do a video that kind of explains the science behind that. So 4-way stop sign is clear. I checked, let Paul know. It's a long climb. I even ended up telling him it's a long climb. It felt longer today for some reason.
Yep. Still going.
That's what I told him. I said it's a long climb. He said it's still going. But we ride into the climb. We don't kill ourselves or whatever. If you're riding with people that accelerate and you're feeling good and you want to go with them, that's fine. If not, ride into it and ride up to them if you want to chase. You don't have to do drastic accelerations if you're not feeling great. Because it takes more out of you. Paul's talking about the one time we came through here with our visitors from California. That was the day that Jose fell. This was the same route we took. And Frankie was here with us that day. I keep getting people on Strava asking for Frankie, and the question's been asked and answered many times, but the issue is people don't read other people's comments. And they continue to ask. And so, I just kind of smile. So it's been asked and answered. The people you see on the film are the people who showed up to ride. If they're not here, they're not riding it. We don't put pressure on people to come out. The kind of riding we're doing, not too many people like to do them. And that's why I mentioned those of you who want to start your own group, get like-minded riders that want to ride like you want to ride and go out and do it. If you don't have anybody, just do it on your own. There's one saddle on the bicycle. You don't need more than one. You are a group of one.
This is where I lost it.
Yeah, we had come through here with Alan one time, and Alan went on the opposite side of the road. Yep. That's what Paul's talking about. Carried more speed and took the longer route against traffic. So what I'm saying is, just get out, ride your bike. You will find people. You want to ride with people that have the same goals that you have, so you have less drama when you ride. Because groups have their issues, or they can, if they're not managed
You still
properly.
feel out of place?
He's asking me about my cleats, and I told him they're fine. So I just thought to mention that.
We're getting on one of our favorite roads in the area.
This is Honea, Egypt.
Egypt Honea Road. Or Honea, Egypt. Come on, let's roll.
So we ourselves wonder what's going on with Frankie. We haven't seen him since those guys visited us earlier in the year. And, I think he's doing fine, but we don't put pressure on people to come out to ride with us. So that's what I wanted to just say. That's why I put the ride on the internet as a schedule. Frankie used the RSVP and he'd show up. The same thing with, I don't hear people asking about Christian or Alan, but I guess maybe they weren't as popular, but it's the same thing. They show up when it works for them, when it's convenient. That's the way it is. That's the way it should be. I wave at the motorcyclists here as we begin the ride on Honea, Egypt. We're heading south. and we begin to taste this wind. I don't know where it came from. I guess it's about almost 9:30 in the morning. It just seemed to pick up. It's cloudier. If you look at the film, it looks a little less clear than it was before. You can see the clouds. It clears up further up the road, but right here, clouds. But once we get on this road, we don't play. So we pick it up. Keep my cadence high because I know that there are climbs coming. This is an undulating road, and at the very end there's a nice 2-kilometer climb, I'm estimating. It gets up to about 4% at the end. And right here, the road begins to go up. This is about a 2% to 3% climb. As we go around this curve, you begin to feel it. There, it says 1. All I do is I find a gear that keeps my cadence up. It's biomechanically more efficient, and we've got a lot of riding to do. So when you're riding in a situation where the road is going up and you know you got more to do, keep your cadence up so that when you're done with the climb, you still have fresh legs to ride the flat. Because if you push too much here and tighten up your legs, when you get over the climb, you won't have much to continue with. That's the key. Just take what the climb gives you, don't fight it. So we're nearing the top of this little rise in the road. I think at this point there's a vehicle behind us, but I'm not changing my position because this is a curve. Paul's on my left, so we needed him to wait. And he turned out to be very patient. I think it's here. I think after that mound I ended up waving him around because there are cars coming and he can't really see around us per se. So I wave him over right here. I wave him by because now I can see that it's clear. Got a bit of a slight descent here. Not much. It's not long. None of the descents here are long. Goes down a little bit and then levels off. It was up to -2, now it's back to relatively flat here. It's a good road to just come and put your head down and go at it. I really like that about this Honea, Egypt road. So I'm on the right, Paul's on my left, so we're using half of the lane. So at this point, we're just I'm keeping the effort the same because not only is this road up and down, at the end is a nice little climb, which I mentioned earlier, probably about 2 kilometers. So you gotta pace it. It's going up here. You can see it. I feel it. hear the wind. That's what we heard. I always get the decibel level down in post-production to mirror what we experienced out there. It's pretty much what you hear when you're out riding. Find that I like to climb in the mid 80s, thereabouts. And that's what this effort feels like with the wind and the undulating terrain. And then once it levels off, if you notice, my cadence kicks up above 90. I don't really have to try. That's just what my body has gotten used to over the years. The flatter the terrain, the faster I spin my cadence. Doesn't mean I can't spin on a climb, but I'm not going to spin on a climb for too long. It's not the most efficient way for me to climb. And that's me. That's just what my body likes. That's the challenge. You have to find what cadence works for you. And I've got that in the queue of videos to do down the road. Don't just go out and try to copy somebody else's cadence. Find out what your body likes. You can train your cadence. You can increase your natural cadence. And then once you get used to it, you'll be optimal. You just go out and start spinning uncontrollably, you end up being inefficient and really just wasting energy, and you can even go anaerobic depending on how hard the effort is. So you've got to work up and build up to it. The more important the ride, the more significant you manage your cadence. The more significant it is for you to manage your cadence. Don't go to a group ride and try something new. Do it during your training ride. You can take a break when you want. And make sure you know why you're doing things. That's the key. People that I work with, that I coach, I try to get them to understand the process of why they're doing things. That's more important. So at this point, I pretty much lower my torso. The wind has picked up tremendously, and we don't have much shelter in this spot. Not riding at maximum speed here, guys. This is our cruising rhythm. That's the reason you see Paul is really close. We're into the wind. I'm not sure what zone he's in because everybody's different, but we try to ride at a sustainable pace to where we don't break up our group of two. So a lot of times if I'm going harder than Paul would like, he'll just sit in the draft. That's what you need to do. So if I'm feeling good and I'm going hard, Paul slots in. You know, he likes to film anyway, but that's what you need to do. You're riding with people and they're going too fast. Don't feel like you have to pull. Sit in. Let them do the work. My jersey just opened by itself there because I had unzipped it to enjoy the wind. And it continued to go down. Once it gets below a certain level, it keeps going down, and then it just unzips. And I didn't bother zipping it up because I actually welcomed it, because I knew that we had a climb coming up, and it's usually hot. On a hot day, there's not much wind when you're climbing, because you're not going that fast. So here we've got a lot of wind because we've got our speed up. But on the climb, we might be doing 22 to 24 kilometers an hour. You don't get much wind. So I actually enjoyed the breeze. My jersey has dried off. If you look at the color, it's more pink than coral. So, you know, the jerseys, the technical fabrics make a difference. If you can afford them, get them. Because you really get what you pay for. If if I were not dressed properly, I probably would have overheated on this ride, because until we stopped, I didn't feel great. I felt okay. As I told Paul, I felt blah. I'm drinking again. I did a lot of drinking. When there's a doubt, I drink to keep my engine cool. You notice Paul is a little to my left. He's getting shelter from the wind there. I think the wind here is coming from southwest. It seems to be swirling around anyway. The road's crappy there, so I let him know, so we're using the lane. So another reason I don't put things in my ear, to make that move, I'm aware if I hear an engine behind me or not. I'm aware of that. It's nothing close, so we use the road, and then I come back to our normal position. And later on, at the end of this ride, we cut through our technical bike path, and you'll see a runner has his ears covered, can't even hear us, and we're right there. I'm talking to him, he can't hear us. So when you go out to ride your bike, don't put anything in your ears. Go and experience the outdoors. You need to know what's going on. Even when you go for a run, resist the urge to put on earplugs. If you must, just put it in one ear. You need to know what's going on. And you'll see that shown to you on this film later on. So as we turn around this curve, I know the climb is coming. You can see it in the distance there. I think I put an arrow in production here to show it. Maybe in a little bit it'll show up. I didn't freeze it. I had the arrow moving. It's not easy to do, but I got it to work fairly well. My effort stayed the same. You can see my speed dropped a little bit. We're like 30 kilometers an hour. We've been doing 35, 36. It says 31, but it's the terrain that's giving the speed that's displayed. And up there, that climb is coming. I think it's somewhere around here. Put a rope. Yeah, that's the arrow. That's the climb up there. That's the elevation. You see where it says 10 meters. Look at the cyclist on the display here. It says 10 meters. And then grade -0. By the time we're done, we'll be almost 30 meters when we're done with this climb. So the elevation keeps going up, and it lets us know each meter is added on there. Right now it says 10, I think in a little bit, yeah, now it says 11, and it just starts to go up. I don't display meters on my head unit, although it tracks it, and that's what you see, but I display grade on my head unit. I get into this climb and I want to get through it. I'm not playing with it. I did not downshift. I just stayed in the big chain ring. I'm probably in a 53, 23 or 25, something like that. There's a runner here, so I moved left after checking. She's running the opposite direction, and then I go back so that we can just use half of this lane. So I stay by the edge of the road because I hear cars coming. There's the first guy that goes. We didn't get that many cars. There'll be 3 or 4 on this road. Even though it's close to town, it's relatively quiet. So yeah, we're doing about 22 kilometers an hour. We're about the bottom of zone 4. And it says, look at the meters, it says 24 meters. So we picked up 14 meters, I guess, since I started to talk about it. So in a short time, you go up. So when you're climbing mountain passes, that's what happens. You can just go up, and then in the mountain passes, the problem is the air gets thinner. And so your breathing is affected. So you really have to manage your effort. I wanted to get over this climb, and so we could get to our stop and get some fresh ice and so forth. It just felt muddy the whole time. All I continued to do was I drank frequently. We could go faster on this climb, but with the conditions like they were, we kept the effort steady. So you can see we went from 10 to 28 meters. The green bar to the right of the cyclist lets you know about the grade. The cadence is on the left, the right. We turn right. This is a quieter road. And this is normal in any group. Doesn't matter how big it is. There are always periods where after the effort, things kind of settle into a lull. This is when you drink. I think I use this to zip up my jersey. Doesn't matter what size of the crew. There's always an area where people back off the pace for a little bit, or they pick up the pace for a little bit. Once you get to know that, and you ride with people often, you need to know where they're going to go fast and be ready. And they go fast usually where there isn't a whole lot of traffic or intersections. You know, just you learn the ebb and flow of your group. So we didn't have to say slow down. We just turned and we used this opportunity to chat. We're discussing where we're going to stop.
I like that.
And it's very windy. I've dubbed it down and you can still hear it. It was just blowing.
Yeah.
In fact, as I do this narration, this is Monday morning.
Yeah, it sure does.
I started the narration, and Sunday night we got so much wind we lost power for the entire evening. A transformer blew, you could hear the pop. And until this Monday morning, the power was not restored.
Yeah.
So they just restored it maybe an hour and a half ago. So the weather here is very, very unpredictable.
We got enough battery because of how we filmed, you see? We don't even have to change the battery. That's the battery.
That was where you showed you for the first time how you speed up.
Oh, yeah.
It was here.
This is our stop at the Valero, one of our favorite stops on this route. We had stopped here before, but we talked about with Christian last summer. We've already gotten our drinks and we're just standing outside shooting the breeze. Paul's drinking some Gatorade. Our bottles are loaded.
Right, because he had to stay with the friends, they drank all night, he wanted the coffee.
Yeah, we stopped here. It was a summer day. That was the day he started messing with your home.
You had to remind me.
How could I miss it? I remember because I saw him messing.
So what we do, we load up our bottles, use the restroom, and then come outside and finish drinking, and we're ready to go. Always do that first. When you stop with a group, make sure you replenish. Don't goof off. Use the opportunity to drink, fill up your bottles, so you make sure you're ready to go. You don't want to be the snail of the group. You don't want to hold them up. So once you stop, use the restroom, get your water, drink some. I already drank and filled up my bottle.
Put your headset on.
Yeah.
Don't just fill up your bottle. If you can drink while you're there, and then fill up your bottles. So you'll have at least 30 to 45 minutes to drink after you guys start. I sped it up here for Con. And now we're ready to roll.
That's the plan.
So if we head out of here, I tell Paul to hurry.
Okay. Yeah.
I cannot stress enough. Look at my jersey. For those of you who saw earlier in the ride, you can see a V in the middle. the jersey has completely dried. I mean, I cannot tell you how wet my body got because it's very humid. So, you know, some people may scoff at these technical fabrics, and all the cycling manufacturers make them. You've got to get the right stuff. You're going to be out there for hours. This jersey, when we stopped, was completely dry. Anything else would have been soaking wet, and it just feels clammy on you and so forth. So these things do work. They've been tested and proven. Yeah, some of them are kind of overpriced, but if you get them on sale, you can get a deal. But they really work. So I swear by them, and I speak from experience. I wouldn't wear anything else in these kind of temperatures for hours on the bike. We ended up our ride being like 3 hours plus. This car goes by and you hear that noisy exhaust. It's a little car that you modified it with some cheap exhaust, which does nothing for the performance. It just makes noise. And so Paul mentioned it to me. I said, yeah, he put some cheap pipe on it. Actually ends up ruining the value of the car. So, in our neighborhoods, some of the kids do that to their cars and they have nothing but problems with the people that run the neighborhood association because they disturb their neighbors. And they don't all sound like that. Some of them are louder and noisier even on startup. But the phases of life, everybody has different things they go through and different tastes and choices. So we're rolling. We're going to go through the woodlands on the way back here. And we're using, this is 2978, the south side of Fish Creek thoroughfare that we took to go to Ridge Shores. We're using it to take a little cutoff off the road that will take us into the woodlands. Notice that even though we're on the shoulder, most of the drivers still move over when they go by. It's clear behind. We're going to be turning left up there. I take the opportunity to get over early. And that's why you see me going across these lines to get in the left turn lane, because sometimes it really bottlenecks up here. And what we do is we come to the stop. We don't get the arrow, so what we do is we wait until it's clear and then we turn left. I'd much rather do that than sit in the middle of this busy highway on my bike. So we stop and we watch the oncoming traffic. There's enough gaps. And then after this guy we go. You're not going to get bothered by any officer if you do what we just did. You're better off getting off that highway than sitting in the middle any longer than you have to.
I see you going sideways. That's cool. You like that
you
sideways,
stop.
huh?
By stopping,
Works,
you're
man.
treating it like a stop sign or a defective light.
Stays off of your levers.
So at this point, I noticed that Paul's pump was all twisted in his jersey, and what that does, it makes your jersey pull and feel uncomfortable. So I mentioned that to him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because at the stop, he took off his patch kit, and the pump always falls when it's in the jersey by itself. And he just stuck the case back in there without straightening the pump. You can see the pump laying in there. What it will do is it stretches the fabric and can stretch your seams.
The pump looks like it's not straight up.
Yeah, that's the pump. So you want to keep it straight because it will stretch the seams and it can basically shorten the life of your pocket seam.
When I take
Put
it
a lot
out,
of
I take
stuff
out the
in there.
thumb.
Then I noticed the right side, which I mentioned earlier in the ride, his
Because what it does,
phone
it
is
stretch
in
your
there
seams.
pulling to the side. And I mentioned that. I said, what do you got in that pocket? I said, it looks like you got too much stuff in there. But then it turns out
In the
his
right
phone.
pocket, it looks like you got too much stuff in there. What you got in there? Oh, your food.
So he said he had his food
I
in there.
stand mine up. It takes up less when I stand up my phone too. I keep my phone vertical.
And then he mentioned that he had his phone there as well. So if you put your phone in there and
you don't
the
have
phone,
to take it out.
Yeah.
Make the phone stand up. Yeah. You can do it without taking it
if
out.
the phone is
Is the phone
horizontal,
in a
what it
security
does
pocket?
is
Yeah, just twist it. Stand it up vertically.
it pulls your pocket
It keeps
over
it
to
off your
ribs.
seams. Yeah. It's the details, my brother.
So if you do that, then you will forget that you have things in your pocket. When they get out of position like that, or you put the phone in horizontally, you feel it the whole ride because it moves around more. When you stand it up like he just did, it rests on your back, and you just feel a slight pressure that is there, but it's not uncomfortable or moving around, especially when you stand. Because if you leave it sideways, it will pull all the way to your hip.
Remember how I showed you how to hold mine like this?
Especially in these lightweight jerseys.
I don't know how I found it, but I just hold it like just like that.
Yeah.
And it just works. Yeah.
I've tried it.
Get some nice side views, man.
Yeah.
And some of these we can get both of those when I do that. It's gonna
So at
change.
this point, we come to the intersection here, Woodlands Parkway. And I start to soft pedal because I realize that the left turn light has turned on. I realize it's changing, so I back off and I just roll slowly to time the
There we
light.
go.
And sure enough, it changes. So I didn't have to unclip. I suspected it would be a short light, and it was.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna be short.
Yeah.
Crazy light. Sometimes it gives you 30 seconds. Yeah. Hey, these guys.
They have it favoring the main highway, which is the other road that we went across. So they don't have it changing consistently and staying on for
It's like sometimes they give you 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Man, we got nothing.
But we come through that often enough. I'm always watching those lights. I hate stopping, so I always time them wherever possible.
Yeah.
After our stop, I started to feel really good. I even mentioned it to Paul. After getting some cold water, ice, and everything in my body, and then putting some in the bottles, it was great. I was like, man, didn't feel so bad after that. And then we're coming into this wind. You can hear the wind. It's cleared up more out here than it was on Honea, Egypt. The drops because we're going directly into the south wind. That's what has it muggy today. We're probably doing about 20 miles an hour thereabouts. We're about the top of zone 2, rolling into zone 3 here, for me anyway. And my effort is increasing because the wind is increasing and this road is going to start going up. We're approaching the bottom of zone 4 now. I don't spend much time in tempo. I don't like to train there. I think I've mentioned that before. I use it as a bridge from zone 2 to zone 4. Zone 4 is more effective for training, as well as zone 2 than tempo. The key is that you have to know your zones. A lot of the people I coach, when I get them, they have zones that are off because they've gotten them out of online or from other sources, and not through direct testing by themselves. So you got to make sure your zones are accurate. Don't depend on formulas. This guy's turning left, but he lets us go. I didn't want to stop because this is a climb. And that intersection is not that busy. It's a 4-way, but he let us through. I thought we'd have to stop because he had his signal and he had the right of way, but he waved us through at the last minute.
Yeah.
That's what I'm telling Paul. I didn't want to stop. You notice Paul is close. When we're working, Paul tightens everything up because we have different zones, different effort levels. So whatever power I'm putting out in zone 2 may be different than his power in zone 2. So if he's in the draft, he won't have to work as hard. So he gets closer when we start going hard. And I will talk about this. I've got some videos scheduled to bring to the channel to talk about these things, so to give you guys a better understanding of the process. And I do these things so that those of you who decide to sign up for coaching, you will already have the basics of your understanding. It will be easier for me to work with you. That's what I'm finding. This channel has been an enhancement to my coaching and other things that I do. Because a lot of people that sign up, I send them to the channel to watch certain videos as we go through the process. Because the videos will give them the background they need. So that's another benefit of this channel. In addition to the fact that it's a help for other cyclists, it's a repository for reference material for the business that I'm running. So a lot of the guys I coach, when I'm talking about stuff during the group rides, they get it, because we've already talked about some of the details. There are some people that sign up for coaching and don't do what I ask them to do, and so they're not very successful at it, because it's like everybody that signs up, I tell them you need to give me feedback. We got guys like TS and Abel. They're very good at giving feedback, and then we have some people that don't give feedback. Well, if I don't know what you're doing, then when you ask a question down the road, I can't help you. And also we got Reggie in the Pelican state. He's very good at giving feedback, and he'll ask questions. So since I'm in tune with what he's doing, when he asks a question, I can give him an answer immediately. So my response to the people that I coach are very quick. I mean, most of the time I try to make sure less than 24 hours they have an answer to any question they have, and I'm sure it helps them. Because when I was racing and getting into this sport, I didn't have anybody to bounce things off of. It makes a big difference. So I said that so you all that are doing it, keep doing it. Reggie and TS and Abel, like Abel and I do a lot of stuff on Skype. That's a big help. We turn right here, carry the speed. I shifted down a cog or two. I look back for Paul. He's a little out of the draft, so I soft pedal a little bit. I look again. Once he's there, then we'll resume. And that's what you need to do. If you're getting the lead in your group and there's a gap, unless you guys are attacking each other, you got to back off the pace so people can get back into the rhythm, and then you continue. That's the whole reason for being in a group. So we're a group of 2, so we're working together. So a lot of guys, we've had a lot of comments from the last video say, "Oh, you guys are smooth." It's nice to hear, but I just want to say that we work at it. We communicate. Paul and I spent a lot of time where I was telling him, this is how, some of you guys have seen it, where we're doing relays where he'd come by, take the lead, I would go by. We'd talk about how to position yourself in the draft. He listened, he applied it, and that's why within 3 months of when he started training, he was in a breakaway when we used to ride with the UMC boys. So the little details that you work on, the drills, they make a difference. So Paul knows when the pace picks up, get in the draft, save your energy, so you have more left. Because we got a lot of climbs coming yet on this ride. That's why you see he's right up on it here. We're going up a climb and it's windy. And nobody needs to tell you when the pace has picked up. You can feel it. You can feel when you're leaving a conversational pace into one that you can only say a few words at a time. That's your gauge. You saw how close I went by the curve? That's the cleanest line to take on a dry road. Same, even on a wet road, I just slow down more, that's all. I'd much rather stay upright in the fall. So we're moving through these shortcuts that we normally take. We're moving at a good clip. I'm checking for cars, nothing's coming. And then we come up here and we've got a couple of cars waiting to enter traffic. I really didn't want to stop. That's what Paul says, I'm spoiled. From when we ride out of town, we don't stop. But it wasn't too bad. Just this lady in the car in front of us, Paul ends up noticing she's got her lipstick she's trying to put on. So she's not looking at the traffic consistently because she's trying to multitask. And so the road's clear, you can see, but then she's sitting there. So even when it clears in our lane that she could have gone, she still sat there. And we're sitting, and then she finally takes off. I'm like, come on, she could have been gone.
She has a lipstick on one hand.
Because those guys were in the left lane. This right lane's been cleared for a while. But Paul said she had lipstick in her hand. So she's multitasking and doing neither one very well. You know, multitasking is overrated. Focus on what you need to get done, get it done, then move on to something else. So I didn't want to stop anyway, so I just ramped it back up, got the effort back to where we were. It's a little bit of an ink line here, nothing significant. It says 1%, didn't feel that all. See, it went back to 0 real quickly. It's undulating a little bit. Everything is out here in this area. This is north of Flint Ridge. That's Flint Ridge on the corner there we're coming to. There's a car here that's turning right, but the light's red. So I figure we're gonna get to that corner before they move. And just as we get to them, so since we're gonna get there first, I just went ahead and turned. If it had been close, I would have stopped. And then I went ahead and just moved over to the side since I knew he was coming, so he could have enough room to go. But we're into our rhythm at this point. You can see my cadence is up, and we're moving. I check for Paul, he's there. You can see he's close. And we're on, we're just moving. It's hot, I want to get the ride over. After we do this ride, I ended up riding back towards where Paul lives a little bit. By then I had turned off my head unit and ended the ride. All of that was not recorded in the data nor the camera. We just kind of rode. I just kept going because I felt good at that point. We're back in the neighborhood, but I didn't want to include it since in town we stop a lot. You can hear the wind. So even though I'm on the tops, my position is relatively aero. The tops felt a lot more comfortable at that moment, so I stayed up there. But I alternate between them. That is the position I use most when I'm riding in a group. get the drops if I'm at the front and really working hard. But this is kind of a medium pace. We're at the top of zone 2. If I were at the top of zone 4, I'd probably be in the drops. It's kind of a mild pace. I call it mid pace. 2 out of 5 effort level for me anyway. So because of drafting, cycling allows riders of different levels to ride together. So if you learn how to draft, you can ride with faster riders. Even if you're in an area where I had a legend this week on the channel that commented and said that he rides with himself most of the time because the other riders in the area are just too fast. So there's nobody at his level. Well, if you improve, you can ride with those guys if you can sit on their wheel when they're going steady over time. I mean, depending on what your level is, you know. So don't count yourself out. If you really want to improve, it's one of the keys that I made a video about the improvement. You got to ride with faster riders. Paul improved quickly after we hooked up because these rides were pushing him. He was learning so much. That's why he told me to start a channel. He said, I can't digest all this information you're giving me. You know, so he comes to the channel and reviews the videos because he just felt like he was overwhelmed. When he would ask me a question, I would start giving him information. So the channel is a repository. All the videos are there for reference. He calls them archive material.
I want to stop.
Yeah. You're spoiled.
That's why I told him I don't want to stop. He said I'm spoiled from riding.
Come down to UMC. Let me throw stuff at you.
And we share a joke here about
man.
the UMC boys.
This is
A day of days. This is a day of days.
Give us an open road. We can do this.
The funny thing is, not even 90 yet. Feels hot.
Yeah.
So you better be cheap.
The reason I always say this is a day of days, every day to me is a day of days. I cherish every day. On my time, my tenure on this planet, I've seen a lot. I've lost some loved ones to cancer and other things, and I've watched them pretty much die before my eyes over time. And I've gotten an appreciation for just cherishing the moment. And it's changed my perspective, and I guess that's what life is about as you grow on this journey, you know?
Stop, man. Body's just been feeling fabulous.
So I just have a different perspective. I enjoy every moment. I don't take anything too seriously. You know, so it's just something. That's why I like the phrase, this is a day of days, and somebody had asked on one ride, I said it was a beautiful day, and it said it was a cloudy day, and I think it rained, and he said, why did you say it was a beautiful day? And so I explained to him that, you know, every day is a beautiful day to me. Every day that I'm healthy, I'm out there enjoying the day. You know, you think about it, there are some people who can't get out. They'd like to, but they're not able to. So I cherish every moment, you know, that I spend with my loved ones and my friends doing the sport I love. And that's what this is about. That's what you guys see, where I'm celebrating the squirrels and the deer and all that kind of stuff. I've learned to appreciate that. And, you know, it took going through a lot of things for me to see that. You know, so that's why every day is important. There are only good days and great days. That was a three-way stop sign. We rolled through. There was nothing coming from the left. And we continue. Now, right here, it starts to go up. There's another three-way stop sign. There's one on the right there. So I look to the left to see if something's coming. It says stop ahead right there. There's the stop sign on the right. I look left. This is the John Cooper School Road. And if nothing's coming, I'll let Paul know it's clear. We're on a slight grade. It says 1%. Relatively short. So we have little rollers here, some longer than others. Keeping the effort about the same. So if you want to improve, you need to first of all identify the correct zones for your training and know the proper mix of what you need to do as a recipe for improvement. Don't just go out there and ride hard all the time. Riding hard is like seasoning. You overdo it, it won't necessarily help you improve. It can lead to burnout. I've said that before. So you need to find out what your engine needs to perform at its best. And really for most people, building a good base is a good start. It conditions you, it prepares you for everything. It gives you an opportunity to kind of tune up before you go. The road starts to go uphill here. I've got a decent cadence. All I try to do is make sure my cadence does not fall too far below 80, I think. I'm not really watching the numbers when I ride. I just ride by feel and make sure I'm on top of whatever gear. If the gear starts lugging, I get out of it and find something lower. And right here, it's a 96. That's pretty high, actually, for climbing. That's pretty good. So when I'm feeling good, I spin more. I spin at a higher cadence more, I should say. It starts to go downhill here. This is at least a -2. Yeah, there it is. -3. Oh, it's more than that. So -3, -4. We get up to speed easily here. We're over 40 kilometers an hour. But if you look up, it starts to go up again after this little guardrail. And then it curves to the left. And all of that we're going up. So all I focus on is staying in a gear that helps me maintain my rhythm. The effort has increased. This is a longer climb. And I'm just trying to keep the same rhythm. I'm not paying attention to the speed or anything. On my head unit, the first thing I have there is cadence. I think I have speed at the bottom left. I don't look at that much. It doesn't mean much. I have cadence and then I've got heart rate below that. Then I got the temperature of the day and so forth. I did a video where I showed the selections on my Garmin. But cadence is my #1 indicator of how my engine is firing, regardless of effort. So right here I'm doing about, well, it says 88 to 90, and then I think I downshift somewhere up here. There, my cadence going up. That must have been after I downshifted. So by downshifting and increasing my cadence, I kept the effort the same. I was more efficient, and the speed stayed about the same. But I used less muscle force. That saves your leg for after the climb.
was like, really?
That guy fell asleep at the stoplight. I guess he was embarrassed. When we got there, the light change, we went through. I think he thought we were going to use the road.
And
That's
that's
what we're
how
talking
accident
about.
happens, right?
You always want to be doing
You
multiple
do a million
in the
things
car.
one day in a car. Look at that woman.
Nothing really well.
Yeah.
Screw up the driving.
What I was saying is multitasking is that you get to do nothing really well because you're distracted. You're sitting there and that light is short. It's lucky we went through it. He would have caught the red again. So us going through alerted him that the light had changed. So he read as he came.
It requires thinking.
Yep.
That's what they dubbed it over here, distracted driving.
Be a light conversation. It's a heavy
Always want to
conversation.
blame something
Yeah.
else.
You can't do that. It requires
Drive the car, drive the car.
You're not gonna do it very well.
When I drive, I only drive. Anything else can wait,
Huh?
especially in this town.
You know.
Too many
No.
reckless drivers.
That's why I'm looking at
thing
like,
is, I feel
this is
safer
new
on my
because we
bike
never
than
recorded
on
here.
the car.
My car. Yeah.
We decided to film this bike path. This
Yeah.
bike path is really not for fast riding. You can see how technical it is.
He was there before us and we went there before him.
Plus, you have people that will ride two abreast from the other side. You know, so yeah, I don't care to use it at speed. When I come through here, it's really just to take a break. It's nice, it's quiet. Like right now, there's not a whole lot of people using it, but then you've got people jogging and doing other things. We'll come across a guy in a little bit that's pretty much deaf to the world.
Yeah.
Music in his ears. You see, this is technical. You can come through here fast if you want. I mean, I've done it before, but it's just that if people are coming from the opposite way or they're walking or whatever, sometimes they come up on you. You got to be real careful about the blind spots. So when I ride it, I'm always looking through the trees to see what's coming. When I come through here, I don't necessarily slow down. So I'll use it sometime during the week on the way back, short ride. And so I come through here. It's not crowded. You know, it's kind of like this most of the time. There's never a volume. But every now and then somebody shows up on your side of the road because they're not really paying attention. So I'm always aware. If you notice, I'm turning to the right as we go around. Even though no one's coming, I stay on the right just in case. I'm looking around those trees. So you can see through the trees if you look through them. So there are spots where you can see around the blind corners. And when I can't, I slow down. Because a bunch of people, when you come up on it, they're like a deer in the headlights. They're startled. Depending on their skill level, they're not able to react. We wanted to film this so you guys can see. There are places, this is a path for leisurely riding, conversational riding. It's perfect for that. But really high-speed fitness riding, this is not fun. And I believe in other countries that have a lot of bike paths, they have paths that are designed for fast riding, and then they have paths that are for social riding. You know, this is definitely a social path. Because even if you could ride fast on here with all the corners, you got to be braking and slowing down. See it. Yeah, it's fun to use. Now we come up on this guy, I slow down. I start to talk to him because I want to start him.
He has a music on.
And then Paul said, I had already spoken.
Bicycles behind you.
So then I said, bicycles behind you. And then finally heard. And he's got earplugs in both ears. That's not a good idea.
Yep.
So I told Paul, I said, that's why you should not cover up your ears. You're outside. You need to know what's happening. So I told Paul to show, I said, what if a driver taps the wall?
Can't hear anything.
You couldn't hear a word. Now you're gonna see the difference. It's funny how this worked out. There's another guy here also running. Okay, he has nothing.
Make sure you touch on it.
There's a 2%. There's another guy also running. He has nothing in his ear. I'm not even gonna say anything. Just watch. We come across him on this bridge. Watch. I don't say anything to him. He hears us. So what does he do? He walks over to the right. Look at that. He knows we're there. He hears us. That's the difference. He knows what's going on around him. That's the difference. You're gonna be out there. Why listen to music when you're out there?
My ears are free.
Listen to what's out there.
I want to know what's in front of me, behind me, on the side.
What kind of noise?
That's the difference. The player's there.
That's the reason you have these skills, talents.
That's what I'm saying. You know, God
Supposed to
gave
know
you
what's happening.
ears so you can use them. Why dub them down?
You're out there
and
running.
what's happening?
Your ears all covered.
See where there's certain areas you want to know what's going on.
You can't hear him.
You don't want to be
It's not
walking
his
around.
fault.
Yep.
Give me your warning. So I got real close and I spoke, and then
Yeah.
he said he had something in his ear. Like, please. You can't be
I
running
thought
with
they
your
had
ears
a
covered up. You want to listen to music good at home. I don't understand why you want to be outside listening to music.
Music.
Anyway.
Exactly.
Listen to the birds. Look at the squirrels. That's why our rides are cool. Interact with the environment. Mess with the cows. Harass them. They look at us like we borrowed money from them. Yeah.
The
Like,
cows
you know
look at
me.
us like
Yeah.
we're golden.
Look at them looking at
Like
us.
that's
Like we're owing money. And we're on the Reddit back there. From the time we started,
Yeah.
we had a good pace. All the way back over there.
so we just wanted. I wanted to record this so you all would just see the bike path.
So they can see.
Yeah, they can
wall
see
between
this
the,
area.
path and the
I don't
traffic
think we have
right there.
recorded this part.
No,
This is south of the Woodlands on a road called Gosling
Yeah.
Road.
Good. See our back.
It's an alternative
Get
path.
some shots from the back.
We use this road when we're headed north. Go through the Woodlands. We use the main road as the bike path. But on the way back, there's not a shoulder on that side, and we didn't want to ride that hard, so we just cut through here. It's very technical. Even up here, when you come through a bunch of blind corners, you got to be in a low gear because it's up a hill and it's twisted. But it's pretty much for runners, cyclists, hikers, everybody.
Yeah, okay.
The light's red for those guys, so we're going across this lane here. That guy was slowing down. I told him to go. I don't know why he was slowing down. He was hard to go. That's really nice, but it actually break the rhythm. It's clear. So that's what it was. I don't know why he's slowing down. His friend.
Blows my mind.
So we're pretty much
All his
back
buddies are going, he's slowing in.
north of our neighborhood, and
Yeah.
this is
the
what
red
we
light
did
will
on
stop.
Saturday. I hope you all got a chance to
Sit
get
there.
your K's in. If you didn't get on the trainer, get out there. Keep the doctor's spot.